This is the Sri Ramana Maharshi Satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. I love Ramana's teachings and so want to share it. Today I'll be reading from and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita, Chapter 9, verses 1 to 4. In these verses, Ashtavakra speaks of detachment. Chapter 9, verse 1. Opposing forces, duties done and left undone. When does it end, and for whom? Considering this, be ever desireless. Let go of all things, and to the world turn an indifferent eye. Rare and blessed is one whose desire to live, to enjoy, and to know has been extinguished by observing the ways of men. Seeing all things as threefold suffering, the sage becomes still, insubstantial, transient, contemptible. The world is fit only for rejection. Was there an age or time men existed without opposites? Leave the opposites behind. Be content with what comes. Perfection. So let's explore these verses where Ashtavakra is speaking of detachment. Chapter 9, verse 1. Opposing forces, duties done and left undone. When does it end, and for whom? Considering this, be ever desireless. Let go of all things, and to the world turn an indifferent eye. This verse prompts you to reflect on the endless cycle of actions and reactions, the constant push and pull of opposing forces in life. It poses a profound question about the nature of these forces and their end, that these cycles are endless and universal. All attachments, and to view the world with indifference. This doesn't mean apathy, but rather a deep inner peace that comes from not being swayed by external circumstances. For you, this verse is a call to recognize the futility of chasing after worldly achievements and experiences. It encourages you to turn inward, to find contentment and stability within the self. By letting go of desires and attachments, you can cultivate a deeper understanding of your true nature, which is unchanging and free from the turmoil of the external world. 9.2. Rare and blessed is one whose desires to live, to enjoy, and to know has been extinguished by observing the way of men. This verse points out the rarity and blessedness of those who have extinguished their desires to live and enjoy and know with the mind through keen observation of human behavior and themselves. It suggests that deep observation and understanding of life and human nature can lead to the cessation of personal desires. This is where your inner peace is not disturbed by the pursuit of life's pleasures or intellectual knowledge. The verse underscores the importance of observing life and human nature without attachment. It encourages you to see through the illusions of worldly pursuits and to realize the futility of desires. Desires are futile since the desire is for something that is ultimately temporary, just a fleeting illusion, and brings no lasting happiness. This realization brings a profound sense of peace and liberation as you become less driven by external motivations and more anchored in the self. Verse 3, seeing all things as threefold suffering, the sage becomes still. Insubstantial, transient, contemptible, the world is fit only for rejection. This verse describes the sage's perspective, where all worldly experiences are seen as forms of suffering. The term threefold suffering refers to the suffering caused by one's own body and mind, by other beings, and by natural forces. Recognizing the insubstantial and transient nature of the world, the sage becomes still, rejecting the world's temptations and distractions. This is not a rejection out of disdain, but a deep understanding of the true nature of worldly existence. This verse is a reminder to see through the illusions of the world. It encourages you to recognize the fleeting nature of all experiences and to turn inward to find the always present stillness of the self. By doing so, this brings a sense of peace and detachment as you are free, no longer swayed by the ups and downs of life. Verse 4, was there an age or time men existed without opposites? Leave the opposites behind. Be content with what comes. Perfection. This verse highlights the eternal presence of dualities and opposites in human existence. It suggests that there has never been a time without them and advises you to leave these dualities behind. The key to inner peace is to be content with whatever life brings, finding perfection in this contentment. It's about accepting life as it is and as it comes, without trying to change or resist it. This verse guides you to transcend the dualities of life, such as pleasure and pain, success and failure. By embracing contentment with whatever comes, you can discover a deeper state of peace and acceptance. This contentment is a reflection of the perfection of the self, which is beyond all dualities and opposites. These verses from the Ashtavakra Gita highlight the importance of letting go of desires, understanding the transient nature of worldly life, and finding inner stillness through detachment. They guide you towards a deeper acceptance of life's dualities and the cultivation of true contentment. Study of these verses can greatly enhance your spiritual journey. And now a video from Nome, Sahaja Sthiti, total peace and stillness.
Sri Bhagavan speaks of self-realization as sahajasthiti, which means abidance in, or as that which is natural, that which is innate, calling self-realization the natural state. If it is innate, if it is truly natural, then it is indeed what you are. What is it that is natural? What is it that is innate? Certainly, certainly that which appears and disappears, which has birth and death, or coming and going, cannot be innate. For what is innate is ever existent. What is this natural state? It cannot be anything bodily, for the body is not always. What is natural or innate is always the case for you and is continuous. That is, what is innate must be your very existence. What then is your existence? It should not be defined in terms of the body or attributes of the body, such as a sense perceiver or a performer of activity. What is innate? Or what is your very existence? As no thought is changeless and continuous, your existence must be other than thought. And the natural state must be mind transcendent, just as it is transcendent of the body. The very idea of I comes and goes. It cannot be innate. For what is innate is continuous and immutable. Existence itself is evidently innate. And it is not possible to separate yourself from it, though the illusion of an ego is just such imagination. That which exists, that which is existence itself, is the reality. While that which was previously described as discontinuous and changeful is actually entirely unreal. The reality is evidently the innate. If it is the reality, if it is your existence, what is the significance of abidance, sthiti, abidance or establishment as that? There are not two selves, two existences, that one could be or not be another. Abidance is knowledge, self-knowledge, which is neither a sense perception nor a mental conception. Such knowledge is of the very nature of being. For the knowledge to be eternal, and thus truly of a liberating nature, or realization as we call it, it must be ever existent. It must be innate. So this is not knowledge in the sense that one knows something. This is non-objective knowledge, in which the self that is known and the self that knows and the knowing itself are all identical. How is one to abide in the innate? Since the innate, or knowledge, self-knowledge, is not to be attained anew, the spiritual practice involves the destruction of delusion. Delusion takes the form of misidentification, as with individuality, with the mind, with the body, and everything else that is not actually natural to you. The destruction of misidentification is not the destruction of any real thing, but simply a cessation of imagination. Such is the dissolution of ignorance. The unreal never is. The real always is. The not-self is never yourself, and yourself can never be otherwise. Therefore, to find self-realization and to realize it to be the only existent one, the reality, inquire, who am I? That which is supremely glorious, that which is perfectly blissful, that which is of the nature of existence, consciousness, and happiness, finding which supreme peace ever is. That which is truly God, Brahman itself. That is what you are. That is the innate. Find out who you are.
All right, and now let's take a few minutes to inquire. You exist. Notice that you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. Now inquire, investigate within yourself. How does it feel to be detached? How can I transcend desires? How can I cultivate inner stillness amidst worldly distractions? How can I practice contentment with whatever comes in my life? Who am I? What am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Well, peaceful words from our teacher. And still the question and problem is, real for us. How do we not get caught up in our desires as if they're all for real stuff?
Right.
And the thing about the desires is these desires are what keeps the mind reaching out. And it makes it, really hard to find peace when we're always wanting something.
Yeah, yeah. And all the stuff we want out there is what comes and goes.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
like a waste of time.
Well, I think they're trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
And thank you, Ramana, because he points us to something that's actually always there.
Right.
It's funny that we, for the most part, just don't notice it, though.
Yeah, I guess it's not to be noticed, it's just to be it. Because
Right,
it's
right,
not an object or something to notice. We just
right, absolutely.
have to come home.
And I know, I have tried to use my attention to find consciousness many different times, and no matter where I look, I can't find it anywhere. But there's something that is always,
It's like we are infinite and eternal, and the desires are for something limited, and it will never satisfy.
right. Yes, exactly.
The only satisfaction will be coming home to that infinite eternal being,
Yes.
our true nature.
And, we've had teachers and sages telling us this for thousands of years. Maybe someday we'll get it.
Yeah. I'm so glad that those sages and teachers have been there, and
Yes,
you're presenting them right now to us. The
yes,
Ashtavakra Gita and Ramana's teachings, the eternal.
yes. Anyway, thank you for joining us together. Namaste,
Thank
and
you,
we'll see you
Namaste.
next
Okay.
week.
Thank you.
In 40 verses on reality, Ramana Maharshi explains the nature of the self, the ultimate reality, and self-inquiry. My new book, with my comments and inquiry questions, opens these teachings up and brings them into your practice and experience. Available now from Amazon. Link in the video description. These videos bring Ramana's teachings into your direct experience. Click subscribe to see more. Click thumbs up to like, and send questions and start a dialogue with a comment